Welcome to the Intrazone, a show about the Microsoft 365 Intelligent Intranet. On today's episode, we talk with Mark Cashman. Wait, is that right? Chris, are we talking to Mark today? Me? Okay. So, I'll be flying Han Solo this episode. I'm Mark Cashman, here with both a first-person and a third-person narrative to highlight 5 hidden gems of Microsoft Lists. Lists is a standalone application in Microsoft 365 that you can use to create and manage all sorts of information. Lists also work in Microsoft Teams, where you can use the rich capabilities of Teams to collaborate on a new list you build fresh in Teams alongside the chat capabilities. We're going to highlight the top 5 hidden gems when using Microsoft Lists, plus a highlight on several upcoming events. Beyond the 5 gems, you're also going to hear from Jeff Teeper in his own words on how Lists fits into what he and his engineering team contribute to the Microsoft 365 experience with industry-leading information management. You'll also hear from my colleague Andrea Lum as she puts Lists into perspective among the collaborative work management portfolio of Microsoft apps and services. I guarantee you are going to finish this episode knowing that lists are simple, they are easy to create, easy to share, and accessible across several different devices. Lists are smart, they are designed with capabilities that help you keep everyone in sync without requiring a lot on your part, and lists are flexible. From views and rules to color coding and conditional formatting, you can make lists work for you. But first, let us hear from Jeff Teeper himself, starting with a history of why SharePoint added lists in the first place, and then get his take on what Microsoft Lists is designed to do today. Here is Jeff Teeper.
We needed an incredibly lightweight way for people to create something that had a bit of structure, schema, was inherently multi-user, and that the vast majority of the world's needs for that are met via spreadsheets. At that point, spreadsheets didn't have co-authoring, but some of what spreadsheets give you in flexibility is not always the controlled experience you want for enforcement of schema and views. And so, predating all the stuff in Office, there have been spreadsheets and databases around since the very first PC. And so what we were trying to do is have these team lists where people could easily define issues or customers or events or T-shirts and just track them in a collaborative web-based list. And it was one of the things that people got excited about SharePoint on. And then developers came along and said, hey, this is pretty cool. Bundled web-based database. We like that. We want to build our own custom views on that. You're worrying about all the storage. We'll build on your workflow and so forth. And so that was something maybe we didn't fully anticipate at the beginning because we were trying to focus much more on being an application and address an unmet need. But then the customization grew and grew. And as technologies evolved, people really embraced. One of the things we announced the Future of SharePoint event in 2016 was integration of Flow, now Power Automate and Power Apps with SharePoint Lists. And that skyrocketed. And I'm really proud that SharePoint Lists helped catalyze some of the growth in Power Apps because not just end users, but sort of IT analysts saw the value of a lightweight end user database as well. So that's what we're trying to do is just address this need as quickly as possible. And we thought there was a space, if you will, if you think about spreadsheets and their flexibility for every user and databases, things like SQL and CDS and so forth for developers. We thought there was room in the middle for an casual end user web-based database. And it's one of the things people always loved about SharePoint.
And now, Jeff's take on Microsoft Lists designed for today and going forward.
I am incredibly bullish on our strategy here. We sort of came up with it about a year ago and launched it at Build, and the response has been very good. There are 2 sides to this. One is the end user who's trying to understand in 60 seconds what we're doing. As you said, we're giving them a really streamlined list experience on web and mobile. I just want to make a list for an event. I don't want to worry about a team context. As few clicks or presses or swipes as possible. Make that great. But also, if I am in a website or a team context, I have to get that same experience. And so just like we've done with files in Microsoft 365, files are everywhere. Of course, you can get to them all in OneDrive, but you can also get to them in Teams and Office and so forth. So for people new to us, this ability to have both the hero experience and the hub experience, I think is powerful. The second group of people is the people who followed us for a long time. SharePoint fans. And this is kind of what we've been promising you with the graph, that all this data is in the graph and that we expose multiple experiences from it. And so it's not lists or SharePoint or Teams. Lists are in the graph and you can get access to them from multiple places. And so all the SharePoint lists you already have are going to get better. You can make new lists and people don't need to know a technical detail that they're backed by SharePoint. But for our SharePoint fans out there, this is sort of really what we want you to get, that SharePoint is this content management fabric in the graph that can store files and lists and pages and sites and so forth. And sometimes those will be in standalone hero apps like OneDrive or the list apps. And sometimes they'll be integrated on pages or in hubs like in Teams. And so it's the Lego vision that we've been promising with Microsoft 365.
As Jeff mentioned, SharePoint is the common content services platform, the backbone, if you will, for where lists are stored and how the app gets and maintains previous list value, and now delivers a ton of new innovation to make lists simple, smart, and flexible, no matter where you're tracking and organizing information. I wanted to take a moment and share that we've created a related tech community post plus a new demo video to coincide with this episode. The blog post is titled Top 10 Hidden Gems Microsoft Lists. It includes the 5 gems you're going to hear in this podcast, plus 5 more gems for the real gem seekers out there, all with screenshots and links to learn more. Just go to aka.ms/mslists/blog/top10gems. Get there and you will experience all 10 gems. Ha! Take that, Thanos. We are not here to erase half the life in the universe. No. We throw down the list gauntlet and snap. Everyone avenges productivity like a superhero. Time for the 5 gems. Get your Mobius strip ready. We're taking the TVA by storm across time and space, flying the Quinjet into the Microsoft cloud. Gem number 1, favoriting a list for easy access. Getting back to work is one of the top actions that we do a lot at the start of our days, when we return from a lunch break, or simply when we have a moment in the in-between. Thus, it's important to be able to make your most important or active information easy and quick to get to. Find the star icon next to your list title and click it to favorite your list. You can do this from within the list itself, when you see it within your recent lists on the list's homepage, or within the Lists app for iOS. Once favorited, the list appears at the top of the list's homepage for web and mobile. And you can unfavorite a list at any time. Simply click the star icon again to remove this list from your favorites. So get favoriting to make it easier to access your lists. Gem number 2, create a list using the format and structure of an existing list. Already have a perfectly formatted, perfectly configured list, and you want to recreate that, replicate it for your next similar effort? You can create a list from an existing list that you or your colleague made, so you don't have to redo any work. When you do this, the entire list structure is copied, including views, formatting, and columns. However, the actual content of the original list isn't copied. It's like having custom templates before we release the upcoming custom templates feature. Maybe we call this ad hoc list templating, and know that it's something you can do over and over again with those lists that you already have created and you love and you want to do it again. For me, I started with the event itinerary template, tweaked it a little to track and organize how I like to manage events for my team, and now for each next event, I create a new list based on one of my existing event tracking lists. Super easy, super fast, and super helpful. Before we get to gem number 3, another reminder about the tech community post and the new demo video. If you want to see all top 10 hidden gems when you're using Microsoft Lists, check it out. It's got everything in it. It's got the video, it's got 5 more gems, and it's super easy to get to. Just go to aka.ms/mslists/blog/top 10 gems. Gem number 3. @mention colleagues in a list item and in team chat. In the list item's comment box, type the @ and somebody's name, then pick the name that you want as it resolves from the global address list, or the GAL. As a result, the person will receive an email notification with a direct link to that list item. It's a terrific way to notify, share, and collaborate directly from within the list itself. When a list item has a comment, an icon appears next to the item. Select the icon to view comments about the list item. I've got 2 final notes that I hope will help clarify how we've built this feature and the experience when you're in Microsoft Teams. If you posted a comment, you can delete it. If you didn't post a comment, then you're not able to delete it. And when you're working within lists in Teams, it's possible to use the list comment to provide input and ask questions, and you can use Teams chat conversation to start a thread on a list item. The difference, similar to how there are comments for files, is that the comments that you do directly in the list comments stay with the list. And the Teams chat is specific on a list item and is bound to the channel and members where the chat thread originated. I think once you start using it, you'll see the difference. It really makes sense. Do I want to post a comment that stays with the list, or am I making a note really that I only want my team to see? So think about the different ways that you can use @mentions to bring colleagues into the conversation and orient and relate it directly to the list item. Before we jump into gem number 4, let's hear from my colleague Andrea Lum on how numerous apps and services, including lists, come together and form our collaborative work management portfolio.
In the context of collaborative work and content management, Microsoft 365 offers an integrated toolset that covers you from the back end with storage built on SharePoint all the way to the front end, which may be an Office application. With a powerful suite of tools, you can confidently organize, track, and share everything from files, tasks, information, and communications. In case you're wondering about the differences between the Microsoft 365 services and when to use what, each service adds a unique part to make up a comprehensive M365 work management solution. The idea is for users to have the flexibility to utilize the set of tools in a way that works best for them. So from a content and communication perspective, OneDrive and SharePoint power file management in one back-end system of storage, which makes it easy to find and share exactly what you need. Outlook provides a central hub for managing communications through email, appointments, and organization directory. To maximize productivity, organizations can utilize To-Do, Planner, and Lists. For tracking team and individual tasks, use Planner and To-Do to create tasks, add due dates, and @mention others to assign and engage them. Once a task is finished, it disappears from view. And if you want to track and manage a variety of types of information, rather than just tasks that disappear once they are completed, you can use lists. So you can specify what type of information you need to track and customize how you want to organize it for a number of different scenarios. And of course, Microsoft Teams bring all of these services together as your hub for collaborating across the entire suite. Aside from Teams channels and chats, each of your collaborative work apps have their own integrations with Teams, so you can bring relevant features into your Teams channels. Rest assured that thanks to Teams, you and your team won't need to jump between 6 apps in different places in order to collaborate on everything together.
I hope that helps put lists into context with other apps like Planner, OneDrive, Teams, and of course more. There's a lot of collaborative apps that we provide, and we do see that they are designed to be an integrated experience to help you manage all kinds of work across multiple content types. Gem number 4, and this is a gem that you can put in your pocket. Take lists with you on the go. This is all about the Lists app for iOS that works on iPhone and iPad. The Microsoft Lists app for iOS provides access to the lists that you own and that you have been shared with. You can create new lists, edit list items, and easily share with other people. While sipping coffee, create an issue tracker list. In the passenger seat, zipping from place to place now that we're all going places, share a link to the session item from a conference in the event itinerary list. Or if you find yourself standing in a grocery line waiting to check out, update that status of a particular item based on information from a team chat. Work and information management does not have to stop when you are on the go. So get the app today. Just go to aka.ms/mslists/app/iOS. Small personal note here, I have an Android as my daily driver, and I am anticipating what is coming later this year. We are working on a version of the Lists app for Android, and I can't wait to get it into your hands as much as I can't wait to get it in my own hands. So gem number 4 will have a part B later this year, Android. Gem number 5, and this is one where it is a true gem once you figure out how to do it. You can add conditional formatting to programmatically change how lists and list items appear. You can improve the display of columns and rows in lists with formatting based on certain criteria that's in your list. You can set up the formatting to highlight an individual cell or an entire row when certain conditions are met. Just open the column drop-down menu, select column settings, and format this column, and then check the conditional formatting option. There you can select Manage Rule to create a rule. Rules, in the case of programmatically making conditional formatting true, are simple. They're sentence-based, similar to the regular rule set. And here you're doing things, for example, maybe to highlight an overdue item, your rule could read, if deadline is before today, show that list item as red. So you get to choose the color, you get to choose the criteria and the action, and anytime that's met, the list starts to become more visual, pulling your eye and other people's eyes that you've shared the list with to call their attention to certain things that you may need to find more easily or see important things when items get updated. This is one, if you try it once, for sure you'll use it in almost every list you interact with. With just a few clicks, you make the list work for you, conditionally speaking, of course. All right, I hope that of those 5 gems, there was something that you didn't know or maybe just hadn't tried yet. These are things that might be just a little hidden because they're on hover, or as you start to dig in and use lists more and more, you'll see there's a lot of power that backs them, and we've been doing a lot to make them more and more simple, easier, and of course, more powerful. So pick up a gem today, give it a try. Next, I want to highlight a few events, as we always do. We've got 4 that I wanted to highlight. The first event is Microsoft Inspire. This, if you are listening to the podcast on day 1 of release, is just around the corner, literally days away. July 14th to the 15th. You can expect that we'll share from my team updates about Microsoft Viva, different partner opportunities. There's going to be a lot of information from the whole of Microsoft, so definitely put on your sponge-soaking caps to get all the information. Join in Microsoft Inspire, look for all the news. You can go to partner.microsoft.com/inspire. From a third-party perspective, there's a great event in Chicago, the SharePoint Fest Chicago. between July 26th and 30th. This is solely an in-person event. There are 2 pre-event workshop days. We have a scheduled keynote from my friend and my colleague and used to be my manager, Dan Holm, and he's got a lot of great things to share, including some items around lists. So really exciting to hear from Dan always. And there will be a multitude of breakout sessions from Microsoft speakers and from MVP and community members from across the spectrum of all topics. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, SharePoint Fest, July 26th to the 30th. In a different part of the U.S., there is the North American Collaboration Summit coming up. That's going to be August 9th through 11th. This is hybrid, and just look for it online in social. It's hashtag NACS. It's a hybrid event in Branson, Missouri, and virtual. Just go to www.collabsummit.com. And if you didn't get enough of list goodness from this episode, if you jumped into the blog that's related, we recently released a new Microsoft List workshop, and it's now on demand via the Microsoft Tech Community Resource Center. Directly, if you want, you can go right to it at aka.ms/mslists/workshop. This includes on-demand training videos, plus content to redeliver the workshop if you want to within your own organization. That means you can find the workshop PowerPoint presentation filled with speaker notes, demo suggestions, and other materials that will help you redeliver a Microsoft List workshop on your time to your internal employees, to your colleagues. So hopefully you can get even more depth on Microsoft Lists and then share that knowledge. I'd like to thank Mark for his third-party narrative of this episode. Thank you, Mark. Oh, you're very, very welcome. And highlighting these top 5 gems when you are using Microsoft Lists. And of course, for more, check out the blog. Check out his blog. Mark wrote the blog. Just go out there, check it out. You're going to get a lot of more information. I have put links to all things discussed today and more in the episode's show notes and the related blog that I mentioned, Top 10 Hidden Gems, Microsoft Lists. Last reminder, this blog includes 5 gems in addition to what you heard in this podcast. So 5 more gems like using ready-made templates, creating rules to be notified of changes, and more gems for working with lists in teams. All with screenshots and links to learn more. Just type in aka.ms/mslists/blog/top10gems. And if I didn't mention it, that's the number 10 gems. FYI, our main Microsoft List Public Resource Center is located at aka.ms/mslists. You'll find blogs, videos, demos, everything that you'd want to find from a public resource to help you with Microsoft Lists, including all of our adoption materials. Everything is linked from this one resource center. For the Intrazone, you can check out our show page at aka.ms/theinterzone. And if you're curious about other Microsoft shows, check out aka.ms/Microsoft/podcasts. You can email us at theintrazone@microsoft.com or find us on Twitter at SharePoint, @mcashman, and @cmcnulty2000. If you enjoyed this show, if you enjoyed this episode, help us help more people get the word out. Share the SharePoint love, the list love, and follow the show wherever you get podcasts. I'm your host, Mark, missing Mr. McNulty Cashman, and you've been listening to The Intrazone, a show about the Microsoft 365 lists, gems everywhere, intelligent intranet.